I almost delayed starting my channel because I didn't have the right gear, and this is a huge mistake. So, there's a common myth that you need a fancy camera, you need a fancy mic, you need lights in order to be taken seriously, and this is completely wrong. I'm going to explain to you why. So, the real reason that people actually use gear is an excuse, as a fear is basically the fear of not being good enough. So it's just a limiting belief. We tell ourselves, I can't do that just now. I need to wait until I save up to get that camera or that microphone or that light in order to start my YouTube journey. But really deep down, that's not the issue. The issue is that people are afraid that they're not good enough, okay? And that's totally natural. Most people, 99% of people who are on their YouTube journey or they want to start making content on YouTube, they're going to have these inherent fears, and that's totally cool. But we first have to acknowledge that. We can't just use the fact that we don't have fancy gear as an excuse to not get started. So, what actually matters in the beginning? So, the most important thing is your message. That's the most important thing. And your gear that you have adds no value to your message, okay? Your message is its own precious piece. It's its own little thing, okay? It's nothing to do with the gear that you have. Your consistency matters as well. And again, your gear is not going to determine how consistent you're going to be or how consistent you can be. That is all on you. It's all on your time management, and it's all on you taking action to actually be consistent, show up, make content, and do that on whatever schedule it is that works for you. And the other thing that matters in the beginning is your ability to improve over time. So you have to be willing to improve at all of the various skill sets you have to acquire when you're creating content. Okay, because there's so many different things you have to do. Like, if you forget about needing gear, there's so much that you need to do. You have to come up with the ideas and go through the ideation stage. You have to write out a script or even just write out rough bullet points. Maybe you're awesome and you can just completely wing it, but that's not everybody. You're going to need to learn how to edit. You're going to need to learn how to actually frame shots correctly, how understand the basics of lighting. And all you really need to know is the basics of all of these skill sets. You don't have to know every specific little thing about those skill sets. You just need to know what you need to know in order to make a video. And that first video is most likely going to suck, but at least you're getting started, at least you're doing it, at least you're not using a silly excuse like not having the right gear to prevent you from actually getting started. And we need to actually remind ourselves that most viral videos didn't go viral because they were shot on like fancy gear. Most viral videos are shot on a phone, they're just filmed on a phone. Like, the best camera that you can have is the camera that is on you. Okay, that's the best camera. It's the camera that's in your pocket. I used to, like, my background, and like when I started my creative journey, I got interested in filmmaking. I studied filmmaking, and I got into photography as well. And that was always one of the things that they would say. Anybody who was like an authority in the photography space, they would always say that because they're always reviewing different gear, and people were like, and I was a sucker for it as well. I was like, oh, I need a good camera in order to take good pictures. It's like, no, you don't. You need to understand the fundamentals, the basics of what makes a nice shot, what makes a nice photo. And the best camera is the camera that you have. If you have like a $5,000 DSLR, but it's sitting at home or sitting in your car, and you've got your phone, your iPhone in your pocket, well, that's the best camera, is the iPhone at that moment in time. So don't worry about the gear too much. And I have been guilty of this as well. So what gear do I use? So I actually have two channels, okay? This is my second channel. and I started my first channel like 6 months ago on YouTube. Totally different niche. It's like travel niche, but it's more niche down within the travel niche. But essentially, the gear that I used for that channel and still use for that channel is an iPhone. That's it. Just a phone. That's all I've used. And I have videos that are over 1,000 views. It currently, as it stands, my most viewed video is reaching 2.6k views. Engagement there, positive comments. It's actually like a whole series. So it's like we went and traveled for like 20 days and we filmed every single day and we made it into like a whole series. So like every single episode is a day of that journey, and people have binged watched the whole journey. I've not finished it yet. I still have 2 more days of the trip to upload. But of those 18 days that have been uploaded as it stands just now, people have binge watched the whole series, and it was just shot on an iPhone. That was it. The only other thing that we had, to be completely transparent, was a little tiny tripod, like a one like this size, like super small, and we didn't even use that like for 90% of the trip. There was a couple of instances where we used it, but again, you don't need that sort of stuff. And the same applies for this channel. So what I'm seems a bit ironic because I've got a studio microphone, but this is like a Blue Yeti microphone. We actually got lucky with this microphone because my wife actually ordered this because she was going to put out YouTube content, and they sent us like a better model than the one that she'd paid for on Amazon, and they didn't have an issue with that. It was just like a mistake, and they were fine for us not to send it back. They were like, just keep it. So that was awesome. So happy accident. So yeah, using the Blue Yeti microphone. I have a newer, I think it's called, like studio light type thing. I don't think that was super expensive, but I've got natural light coming in just now. So really, I don't need this. I have it, so I'm gonna use it because it makes the image look a bit nicer, but I don't need it. I don't need this microphone because, like I said, for the travel series that we did, I just used the iPhone and I just used the audio straight from the iPhone. And there's actually free tools that you can use to increase the quality of the audio from your iPhone. So one of the ones that I use that is free is Adobe Podcast. And what that does is it's super easy to use. It's really intuitive. It's just got 2 sliders. One is to, I think it's like speech enhancement. So it'll like enhance the audio of someone talking. It will enhance the quality, and you can slide it from 0 to 100. And then there's one for background noise, so you can have more background noise or less, and you just use the little sliders. Super intuitive, super easy. You can click the button to hear what the original one was like and what the enhanced one was like. You got to play about with it to get the right balance so it sounds natural and it doesn't sound robotic. But boy, does that work. It makes your audio... And first of all, I was super surprised by the audio that came straight from the iPhone. Really impressed by that. But this just helps beef it up a little bit, helps it sound a bit more professional. So yeah, I don't really need this microphone. Like again, I'm just using it because it's here, but I don't really need it. I could just use the audio from the iPhone. So really, what I'm saying is all you need is a phone. And most people have a phone, whether it's your Android or your Apple. You just need a phone that's going to shoot 1080p and make some sort of makeshift tripod. If you go and look at one of the recent videos or one of the videos that I posted on this channel, I wasn't at home. I was in Ireland visiting my parents, and I took the opportunity of, they are living in a beautiful area, and I took the opportunity. I had a beautiful natural backdrop, but all I had with me was my phone. That was all I had. I had my phone and a notepad with some notes. Okay, that was all the gear that I used. And again, I used Adobe Podcast to help make the audio sound a bit better. And for the tripod, I used a tree stump and a little branch just to stop the phone from falling over. And you could do the same at home. You could just use books, stack books up, or figure out your own homemade tripod setup. But you can certainly do it with just a phone. So that's the gear that I use. you know, you can see the quality of the video footage just now. People have loved the videos on the travel channel as well, just shot on the phone. Like 90% of it is like handheld on the phone, and people love it. So that is proof you don't need fancy gear. It's a limiting belief, and it's an excuse that we all use because really we're just afraid of not being good enough. We're afraid of putting ourselves out there. So what do you actually need to focus on? Well, we need to understand what's actually important. So first of all, having clear audio is much more important than high-end visuals, okay? So let's imagine that you're watching this video and the image quality looks great, super sharp, it's well lit, it's framed nicely, it looks fantastic, okay? Let's just imagine I have a really pretty background right now, because I know I don't, but it looks brilliant. But the audio is like awful. You can't even understand what I'm saying. The audio is inaudible, okay? And what are you going to do? You're going to turn off that video. You're going to stop watching. Now let's flip that on its head. Let's imagine that the video looks like a potato, okay? It looks super low res. It looks 480p or 360p. I don't know, one of the lower resolutions. It looks absolutely awful, but the audio is crystal clear. So you can still hear the message that's been delivered. You can vaguely see what's going on, but that's not what's important. The most important thing is the message, okay? And obviously there's going to be certain circumstances, certain content that you're shooting for certain themes where having high quality, high end visuals is important, but for the most part, for the content that most people are looking to produce, the audio is the most important thing. Okay, so we want to get crystal clear audio, and like I said, you can do that with a phone, and the Adobe Podcast free software can help enhance your audio. Lighting. Everybody thinks you need fancy studio lighting. You don't. Go and look at that video that's shot in Ireland. There's no fancy lighting. There's no studio lighting. It's naturally lit. The sun is a massive free studio light. In fact, it's even better. Studio lights try and replicate the sun, but the sun is always there and it's free, okay? Unless you're shooting at night time, but the sun is always there. And sometimes, depending on the day, you might have to adapt where it is that you're shooting, where you're framing your shot. You know, we want to avoid super harsh lighting, but typically with the technology these days with the phones, they do a fantastic job at exposing correctly. Another tip that I'll give you, a little bonus tip, if you are using an iPhone, avoid using the in-camera like app, like that native camera app that comes with the iPhone. What you want to do is download the app. It's called Final Cut Camera, something like that. So Final Cut Pro is a editing software made by Apple. Okay, it's not the software that I use, but it's an editing software. And Final Cut have their own camera app, and you can get it for free on your iPhone, and you're able to change some settings there. You can change like the color profile and all that sort of stuff. I can do another video about that, about how to use Final Cut Camera, but it's going to make your footage look a lot better than the in-camera app, and you've got a lot more control. You can control white balance and all sorts of different fancy stuff. So, and that's a free app, okay? So you don't need to spend money, you don't need fancy gear in order to make your footage look good. You've got the sun, you've got that natural lighting that the studio lights are trying to replicate. And we also need to focus on progress, because progress is much better than perfection, okay? We want to be focusing on progressing. We don't want to focus on perfection. Perfectionism is going to kill your momentum, and your momentum beats mastery. Okay, so we have to focus on progress. It's much better than perfection. So you don't need gear to be credible. Okay, you need clarity and courage. That's all you need. So you need to know what direction you're going in. You need to know what type of content it is that you're producing. You need to have clarity of the message that you want to put out there to your audience. And you need to have the courage and the confidence and shoot down all those fears that are nagging at the back of your head. Have the courage to go out there and put your message out to the world. You need to start where you are with what you have. Forget about the excuses. Oh, I need fancy gear, I need this, that. You don't need it. And if you are actually ready to start now, but you're afraid to do so, watch this video to overcome your fears and start your YouTube journey today. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you guys over there.